feel safe, but can't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you're not aligned, you're going to really feel it. And that's why the term midlife crisis is so common, right?
Absolutely. If you're not aligned, you use the perfect word if you're not aligned. So the more aligned you are, the less of a traumatic shift it is.
Interesting. So it's good to kind of get ahead of the curve, right?
I would highly recommend and suggest that, yes.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. All right, guys, we got Gellyahnah Aakhen here today to learn about the importance of names. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I didn't realize how much went into naming. Can you explain the process for this?
Yeah, absolutely. So your name contains the entire soul contract, the entire soul purpose for why a soul chooses to reincarnate. So the way that it usually works, as most people don't know this, but it's actually the soul that chooses the name, not the parents. And it's the soul's job to get it to the parents, is the parents' job to get it correct. And the reason for this is because when the soul is in the process of choosing its next life incarnation, the soul really decides the life. Like, what is the soul going to do? So the soul pre-plans a number of things, including the karma that it's going to bring into any given lifetime, the unique talents, the goals, and ultimately the soul purpose. And we can derive all of this information from the sound frequency of somebody's name.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your soul basically chooses the life before you're even born.
Yes, absolutely.
That is crazy to think about, because as humans, you think you have this free will, right?
We do have free will as humans. That's the thing. So the soul will actually pre-plan it, but then doesn't mean that the human's going to follow it.
Okay. So then they'll have to reincarnate to continue that path out.
That will be the path for some souls. Yeah. So every soul has a different journey, and a lot of it depends on the soul's age and where they are in the journey. But a lot of souls, if they don't complete what they set out to complete, they will choose to reincarnate again and try again.
Wow, that is fascinating. So how can people find out their numbers and everything?
Well, the method that I use, what we do is we take the name that's written on somebody's birth certificate, and the way that the name is written is very important. And I take the name and I convert it into ancient Hebrew sounds, because the Hebrew language is one of the sacred languages that's pure vibration of source. And so when I convert the sounds, and it doesn't matter if it's like an English name. I mean, I have clients from all over the world. So we take the name and we just convert it into the sounds. And then I take the sounds and I put them around a Merkaba. And so if you can imagine a Merkaba, it looks like a Star of David. There's a triangle that's facing down and a triangle that's facing up. So the triangle that's facing down, that one will tell me the physical karma that somebody brought in, their physical talents and physical goals. And when I say physical, I don't mean their body. I mean, what is their worldly human experience? And we feel these energies very dominantly between the ages of 0 to 35. Essentially, this is our ego consciousness. When we're just trying to figure out what are we doing with our lives? Like, what is going on? How do we survive here? Okay. And then the triangle that's facing up, that's actually the spiritual aspect. And this is your heart and soul's desires. And so between the ages of 35 to 42, we are moving from our ego consciousness and stepping into the soul's desires. So 35 to 42 is our 7-year spiritual awakening cycle. And this is where most people experience very tumultuous things in their life. Like
35 to 42.
35 to 42. Those 7 years, a lot of things are happening. I see marriages, divorces, career change, feeling completely lost, infrastructure of their life just completely being pulled out under them. It's kind of a big mess during the 7 years.
Wow.
Because you're literally going from ego consciousness to soul's desires. And what most people do as humans, we resist change. That's just a natural thing.
Right.
So your soul's now trying to pull you this way, and the ego consciousness says, whoa, 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 I don't know what this is. I know this, and I want to stay here, and I want to feel safe. But we can't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you're not aligned, you're going to really feel it. And that's why the term midlife crisis is so common, right?
Absolutely. If you're not aligned, you use the perfect word, if you're not aligned. So the more aligned you are, the less of a traumatic shift it is.
Interesting. So it's good to kind of get ahead of the curve, right?
I would highly recommend and suggest that, yes.
That's so cool. And we were talking earlier in there about name changes. So like when you get married or you legally want to change your name, how that can even affect your patterns and numbers, right?
Absolutely. So your soul contract, which is derived off of the name that's written on your birth certificate, that doesn't change. So that's kind of set in stone for life. But every time you change your name, whether it's legally or it's a nickname or you get married or you hate your name and you change it, whatever, what you're doing is you're putting an overlay, an energy overlay on top of that initial birth name. So you're bringing new energy vibrations into your name, the new sound frequencies. And this could either hurt you, it could be neutral, or it could actually really help you. So what I was telling you when I optimized my name to Gellyahnah, I put in particular frequencies to give me the best possible energetic outcome.
Right. And was that during the divorce?
No, actually, that was years after the divorce, because
Okay.
I didn't discover this work until after my divorce.
Got it.
But my divorce came through at 34, 35. So I was like right at that, 35 to 42, right on that cusp. And I discovered this work when I was 38. So 38 is a really interesting year in the 7-year cycle because 3 plus 8 is 11.
Right.
And 11 is the frequency of complete deconstruction of your reality and like a rebuild of the reality from your truth. So when I was 38, I discovered this work and I read my soul contract. Actually, the first time I read my soul contract, I rolled my eyes and put it down. I was like, of course, I can't.
You didn't like it?
It was so intense because it was such deep, intense truth.
Right.
It's not that I didn't like it, it's that.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? We'll click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
I wasn't ready for it. Anyways, eventually, obviously, I came back and picked it up, okay? And it was so powerful that I decided I wanted to do this for other people. But it wasn't just that. It was, I tell you, when I first came across this work, I had the whole physical reaction. And I'm kind of shortening the story for you, but I had a physical reaction because I've done this in past lives. I know this work. It was already attuned to my soul, and my soul was screaming at me, pay attention. Remember, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Being aligned with your soul's purpose, you could physically feel it.
Yes.
With this podcast, I feel it. I feel like I'm aligned. With other business endeavors I've done, did not feel aligned.
Right. Well, and we looked at your soul contract, and you have that 5-5 frequency in your physical goals, which speaks to our careers. And so the quality for 5 is speech. You're here to speak the truth. So it makes absolute sense that you're aligned with the podcast.
Yeah, before I was scared to speak, and I always felt weird. So this makes a lot of sense to me. And we were talking earlier about having the mother wound one. I definitely had some mama issues growing up. Mom, if you're watching this, she watches every episode actually now.
Aww.
We're working on healing that relationship right now. And you said that takes until 35, right?
Well, no, it doesn't necessarily take until 35. What I was saying is 35 and up in our lives, you're going deeper into your purpose. You having a 13-4 soul destiny, which is where the mother wound comes from, you're actually here to learn unconditional forgiveness and to show, like, it's this beautiful mercy feeling that comes with that particular frequency. And you yourself have a very big heart and this loving frequency that you're here to share with people. That's what the 13-4 is about.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I've always been pretty giving and forgiving. I try to not hold any grudges.
That's good.
It's tough sometimes, but I think in the long run it helps.
I do. And here's the other thing. Sometimes you will come across people in life that are truly toxic.
Yeah.
And this is a distinction I try to help people make. On a soul level, we're all beautiful because souls are beautiful. Souls are loving. Souls are pure. On our human personality, that's not always the case. So forgiving somebody doesn't always mean forgive and forget or forgive and allow the toxic person back into your life.
Right.
Right? Because like we said earlier, people have free will. And I see all the time that people go off their soul's path. They're literally kind of going sideways. They're in the shadow aspect of themselves.
Right.
And if they're in the shadow aspect of themselves, and they're narcissistic or toxic or abusive, doesn't mean that you have to forgive them and bring them back in. So I just want to make that distinction. You can forgive them on a soul level and love them on a soul level, but still have nothing to do with them in the physical world.
I like that. I'm going to start telling people that from now on. I forgive you spiritually, but not physically. That's cool. With numerology, that stuff fascinates me because I'm a 33 life path, and I know other people on that life path, and we're so aligned.
Yeah.
And it seems like numerology is really a thing.
It is, and so the numerology that you're speaking to is not necessarily the numerology work that I do. I mean, I'm familiar with it because, I love all the things too.
Yeah.
But the reason that the numerology of any method is so accurate is because you're literally working with numbers. It's math. And it's not like, oh, let me look into my,
Crystal
ball and see what's happening. We're literally decoding. Well, in my case, we're decoding the sound frequencies. And then with the numerology, the traditional one you're talking about, we're looking at birthdays, right? Your time of birthday, like all of that. And it's math.
Yeah. With sound frequencies, are you doing those bowlings and all the stuff? Or are you just doing the numerology side of it?
I just do the readings and numerology side of it. I do energy healing, but I don't do it with sound bowls, which I love, by the way, because yes, the sound frequencies are very healing. But I tend to focus on the readings with the numerology, and then I do energy healings with a different modality.
What goes down during energy healings? I've never done one of those.
Oh, you'll have to come and experience one. So what I practice is something called connecting with the creator. And we are literally connecting to the creator, to source energy, to the soul. So our soul connects to the creator's soul. And the full session is an hour and a half. And during this 1.5 hour session, most people, and I do this monthly for my clients, like I'll have up to 60 people on a call, we all go into a trance. It's a very gentle trance, but it's still a trance. And people will experience very supernatural types of things. Like they'll see things, they'll hear things, they have intense sensations like heart chakra sensations, like third eye sensations opening up, body almost kind of going numb or feeling like there's a blanket on top of you, all from energy work. And my clients are, again, from all over the world. We're doing this over Zoom. So we're not even physically in the same space.
Do it over Zoom?
Over Zoom, yeah.
It's impressive. I thought you had to be in person.
No, energy. This is what I tell people. People say this to me all the time, and I'm like, God doesn't care where you are. Do you know what I mean? Like, God does, whether we're on Zoom or in the same room, it's the energy comes through.
That is so fascinating. Are you into the astrology side of things?
I love astrology, but I not studied in it like I am in the sound frequencies.
Okay. Yeah, there is a lot of different modalities, right? And I like taking a bit from each. I'm pretty open. A lot of it just makes sense. Like, it's hard to argue with some of this stuff.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, because it really breaks down our personality. So I think, when people are on their life journey and they're trying to figure out, who am I? What am I doing here? What is my purpose? And I'm really looking at what my own journey was. Because I loved all those things as well. And I would literally go to each one and get information from all these different modalities, right? So my astrology, like most basic, like your horoscope, right? Like when I was a teenager, we had a magazine called YM, and that was where we would get our horoscope from. Although I would, like, my handwriting analysis, I remember I went to this woman and I had her analyze my handwriting.
Really?
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
And it was actually really cool because she was like a forensic, I don't know what she was, but she used to work with like detectives.
Yeah.
Analyzing handwriting. So again, it's not this crystal ball type of work. We're literally, there's a science behind this, and that's why it's so accurate. And I think that's what you're speaking to, is that there's an undeniable science that comes with numbers and math.
Yeah, the crystal ball stuff, there's so many charlatans. There are some real ones in that space.
Absolutely.
But they're not going to be on Google. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And again, doing the work that I do, I come across very legit people that have ridiculous talents that I wouldn't even know how to verbalize, obviously. But then there's people that say they have these talents and they really don't.
I literally saw a video yesterday. This guy pretended someone close to him died. He went to a psychic and she was describing like what he's saying to him.
Wow.
Just exposing the psychic. So it's a scary world, man. People playing on people's emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that stuff.
No.
Any testimonials of people you've done that really impacted their lifestyle and stuff like that?
I have many. I have many testimonials. And, it's fascinating to me because I get asked this question, so what happens after people get their soul contract read? And I feel like it's a wide range, because some people, we do a reading and it's probably in 1 year and out the other. And for some people I've seen, they've literally done a 180 in their life. And I'll tell you why. Because, mind you, most of them are finding me on the internet, right? So whether it's Instagram or TikTok, and I'm a complete stranger to them. I don't know them. I look at their chart and I tell them, here's what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. And I am literally saying things that they've been thinking about their entire life, but have been afraid to verbalize or have not been confident enough thinking that this is truly their path. And so here I am, a complete stranger off the internet, verbalizing their deepest desires and thoughts. And sometimes that's all you need to hear. Right. So I think it also depends where they are on their soul journey. And if I'm talking to somebody who's like right there and they just need to hear that extra validation and I can give that to them, they're off. They're going to go and do what they need to do. And then sometimes people come in and they're still stuck a little bit in their victim mentality. I get that. And so they're coming in and they're like, why is my life so horrible? And why are all these bad things happening to me? And the only thing that they connect to in their chart is all their karmic aspects, the shadow sides of themselves. And so when I read the soul contract and I show them, no, here's where you're meant to be going. Here's what you're here for. They'll say, well, I don't resonate with that. Okay, well, but you resonate with all the karmic stuff. Right? So they're stuck a little bit.
How does the karma stuff work? Because some people say they're so unlucky, and then you got other people that seem to be lucky. Is that from past lives?
So, okay, so let's break down the few things that you said there. So I don't know that luck has anything to do with it. We do have all different energies, of course, that we carry. Some people are going to experience more trials and tribulations, other people, because we're all here for very different things. So what does luck really mean, right? So for you, in your chart, we see you're built for success. Mm-hmm. You came here to do that, to have success, because also we see in your soul destiny, you're here to share all of it, right? Mm-hmm. So you're set up for success because you're here to share it. Somebody else might be coming in, a different soul, and they might have a little bit more of a different path where they're not necessarily here to have success or be rich or any of that. They're maybe here just to learn how to work through their self-worth, just how to love themselves. And so they might be in life faced with people coming to their life that are making them feel bad about themselves because they're here to actually learn to choose themselves and not to get into relationships with these people, right? So just a completely different life path. So we can't say, is that luck? Is that not luck? I wouldn't say that's luck, that's not luck. I would just say we're here on different paths, learning different things.
Got it. Now, do you believe in soulmates? Because you also read my fiance and we had the same soul chart, right? The 13-4.
Yeah, you have the same soul destiny.
Soul
so
destiny,
beautiful.
Yeah. So is that considered a soulmate?
Okay, so wonderful question. So I will tell you that with these readings that I do, the charts won't tell me if this is a soulmate or not. That specifically. Do I personally believe in soulmates? Absolutely. So when I look at two people's charts side by side, I can see if they have a karmic connection, and I can see if they have obviously the same soul destiny connection. Like there's certain things I look for, including clashes, right? Because I get a lot of married couples coming in and they're like, why can't we get along? I'm like, oh my God, their dragons are going at it, So when I pulled up your charts together, that's the first thing I'm scanning very quickly. And the first thing I saw, I was like, oh my God, they have a past life connection. And that was the first thing I saw with you two.
Got it.
Which is beautiful. So here's what I'll tell you. Most of the people that we do life with, we have a past life connection with. All right. So that could almost be a generic statement. Oh, you have a past life connection, but you two have a particular past life frequency. So that's what makes it a little bit different. So it tells me that there's something, maybe you started together in a past life, and maybe in this lifetime you're meant to complete it.
Interesting.
Right? So to me, it was more of like that kind of feeling, especially because you two have the same soul destiny, and your soul destiny is literally your mission. So you two have the same mission.
Wow.
So I would say in a romantic relationship, maybe even a business partnership, but especially in a romantic relationship, when two souls have the same soul destiny, there's a very good sign because you have the same soul mission. Nice.
I love that. And how many different destinies are there? Are there unlimited, or is it kind of the same kind of 5-10 destinies popping up for everyone?
Oh, I love this question. There are 22 different frequencies, sound frequencies in this modality. So in this modality, there are 22 different soul destinies that somebody could have. Potentially have.
Got it. So it's really not that many. A lot of people are here to do the same destiny.
Yeah. And well, let's see. So yes and no, because everyone's chart it's like a snowflake. It's a little bit different. So let's say you and your fiance do have the same soul destiny, but you have different talent positions and you have different karmic positions. So you're maybe here to spread love, but you're going to do it in different ways. Right? And so maybe you're both here to heal this relationship with your mothers, but you're going to do it differently.
Got it.
Right. And so
that's the free will aspect kicking in.
That's the free will aspect. And you both are here to share this with other people, like your love. So you're going to share it differently as well. Right. So for me, I stay in my lane. I would love to save the world. I can't save the world, right? But I can stay in my lane and help the people that I know I'm here to help.
Yeah, I love that. And sensitivity was popping up on my chart, which is interesting to me because I don't know if I'm repressing it or I'm not fully embracing it. But I wouldn't say I'm sensitive now.
Well, it'll be interesting to have this conversation 5 to 10 years from now.
Right, because you said...
Remember, you're 27.
Yeah.
So not to say you're immature, but literally within just the human age span, you're still in the triangle that's facing down, and you're just still working through stuff. All of us are. I mean, we're never done working through stuff, right? But what I find because this sensitivity frequency, it's literally sitting in your physical karma. And our physical karma is usually one of the most difficult things for us to work through in our life. And the 8s, they are actually very good at putting a fence around their sensitivity. Because who wants to walk around being sensitive all the time? Right? That's why I asked you when you were a child, were you sensitive as a child?
I think I was more, for sure. I definitely was more expressive of emotions. But like you were saying, with your guy clients, having kids kind of lowers the shield, right?
Absolutely, especially with the 13-4 soul destiny, which you have, yeah.
Got it. So I need to have some kids on. I've been wanting kids, so.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't wait. I think this has honestly confirmed everything I was thinking. Just seeing the results laid out like that, it's just confirmed the path I'm on right now. So thank you so much for doing that for me.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Yeah, I think it's a really valuable thing to know because a lot of people are so lost. They don't know really what to do. They don't have purpose. And it's tough to find without someone like this.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. What I find with my clients, most of them actually know their purpose. They're just not, they don't believe it. Because your soul doesn't forget why it reincarnated. The soul's constantly trying to guide you towards your path. It's the human that resists. So when people come to me, even if they sit there in front of me and say, I don't know anything, I don't know. As soon as I get them into conversation, they're like, oh, well, when I was younger, I used to love to dance and I used to love to direct movies. I'm like, oh, okay, so you do have a passion. They're like, or, I'll ask them, do you consider yourself to be creative? And they'll say, oh, yeah, when I was younger, I was so creative, but I'm not creative anymore. Okay, your creativity doesn't go away, right? So I almost kind of want to say to you, your sensitivity doesn't go away. You may be placed it somewhere, but it doesn't just disappear, right? So people that haven't explored their creativity in a while, it doesn't mean they're not creative anymore. It just means they're not tapped into that part of themselves. It's a little bit more silent.
That makes sense.
Right? And so the people that, I'm particularly talking to this 6th frequency right now, where they're meant to be very creative, but they oftentimes block this creativity within themselves, and they say, I don't know what I'm here to do, and their chart screams they're here to create.
Wow. This all makes so much sense. My dad wanted to name me Shane, actually. So it would have been a different person in this body. Because your soul chooses your parents, you said, right?
Correct.
Wow. Just from that one little added letter.
It would have. But, it played out the way it needed to be. A lot of times people say to me, well, my name is so-and-so, but on the birth certificate it's misspelled because the nurse misspelled it.
Right.
That's not an accident. I'm like, I need your misspelled name.
Dang.
Right. And they're hesitant. And then I pull up their chart and they're like, oh my God, that's so me. I'm like, I'm telling you, there's no coincidences.
Wow. So even an accidental typing error is not really an error.
It's not an error. Or people that get adopted, sometimes when they're first born, it'll say baby girl or, baby boy. And that's the original birth certificate. I will use that and that will relate to them.
Really? Wow. Has it ever been a case where it didn't make sense?
There have been. It's so rare, but in those cases, it's usually because they're blocked to their soul's essence.
Got it.
And I see that. But again, depending on where they are in their own journey and how receptive they are. And sometimes, again, it's not that they're not resonating with it. It's that they will only resonate with the negatives, but they don't connect to the positives.
Got it. What do you think causes that block in people?
Trauma, pain. They don't, we're human, going through life can be very painful. And so I'll give you another example. There's this 9 frequency, is this dragon, and the keyword is power. And these people are meant to be very powerful. But their hero's arc is that initially in life, they feel extremely disempowered, right? So this is where I'll see abuse, neglect, assault, bullying. They attract narcissists. Somebody like that comes into me and I'm like, oh, you're meant to be powerful. And they're like, what? Right? So I have to explain to them how the frequency works is that you are meant to step into your power, but initially in life, we experience the opposite.
Wow. And I noticed that on the chart where something needs to happen in order to do something positive, right? That's common.
Well, we need to transmute the shadow aspect of each frequency and to step into the positive. And your talent positions in your chart, that's what's going to help you do that.
Right. So it's almost like negativity is needed in a sense, right?
Yes. It is needed because it's part of your personality, right? So I'll give you I'll give you a personal example. We'll look at my chart. So my physical karma is a 7-7. And the 7 frequency, the keywords are to heal and open up the heart. And people that carry this frequency, especially in the karmic position, will often experience extreme heartache. Why? Because we are heart healers. And we are here to help people heal their hearts. So our journey is to experience heartache, to learn how to heal our hearts, and then turn around and help others do the same.
Wow.
Right? And so if we look at my life from, this kind of bird's eye view, without getting into detail, I used to tell people I have a PhD in heartache. Like my heart was just thrashed from every single direction. And I honestly didn't know how I would even be able to piece it back together. And it wasn't just from romantic relationships. I mean, it was from just life in general. And when I did figure out how to heal my heart, look what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Right? I was able to fully step into this role and hold space for people the way that I do. And in the 7s, we're also meant to connect dots. So a lot of times what I'm doing is I'll tell people, I might not tell you anything about yourself that you don't know. We're talking about your soul. You've been you your entire life,
right,
but I'm going to help you connect the dots.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That is super powerful. So now you're helping people's heart chakras. Do you believe in chakras?
Of course.
Yeah, I'm looking into that stuff now. I'm actually going to get mine measured next week. I'm really excited because I think I have some misalignment.
I would be curious. You'll have to tell me what your heart chakra is like because that's your soul destiny.
Okay. So that one's the one I should focus on. Interesting. Yeah, I need to look into that. It's tough to balance all 7.
Yes and no. It may be tough when you're trying to do it manually. When you step into alignment of your being, it's almost like an automatic process.
Oh, okay.
It can be, especially like with energy healing, right? So the work that I do, the moment I feel out of alignment, I sit in a session and I'm right back where I need to be. So one of my most popular healing sessions, and I have this on a recording. I mean, I do them live, but I have them in recordings, but it's called realigning to your soul's divine purpose. everybody's looking for that, right? Because we're all out of alignment. And I created that one first because I needed that, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to realign myself back to my soul's purpose. So with the chakras, they will get out of alignment, but it's once you know what you're doing, like you can easily
that's good to know.
Put them back in. Like, so I wanted to mention when Matthias was on your show, okay, I love that. Like, I listened to all your interviews with him.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about how everything is frequency, right? There are two things he said. One was the frequency, and the other one he was talking about how you can, once you understand your energetic makeup, you can hack it. Like I think you asked him, so can you kind of hack it?
Yeah.
Right? It's the same concept. Once you understand your energetic makeup, your chakras, like you will know how to rebalance yourself.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah, I'm definitely curious, and I'm going to listen to your video on that too. That's cool.
Absolutely.
I used to listen to binaural beats in college. Everyone thought I was crazy. I'm like, no, this stuff is doing something in my head, man.
Yeah.
I'm into those sound frequencies and all that. I really think it's powerful, and I think it could be used in the wrong way too.
Absolutely. We can all go sideways.
Yeah, I know people being influenced by what they listen to and in a very bad way.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Any projects you're working on right now?
So my next thing that's coming up in June, I'm actually hosting a class, teaching a class on people how to do this, but not for them to become practitioners. I'm going to do that a little bit later, maybe next year. But right now I'm teaching people how to understand their own chart in a deeper way and to look for connections with their loved ones. But people will be able to actually do charts for their loved ones as well. This is not like a full-on practitioner course, just to make that clear, but you can look at your chart, you can look at your families, you can see the connections. Do we have a karmic connections? Do we have a best friend connection? Do we have a clash? Because this is what a lot of people are looking for, is the entanglements on a soul level and what's actually happening.
And that's super important to get your family and friends to do it, because there's certain family members that you clash with and you don't know why. So if you get their chart read, you can kind of understand it. And then what happens when you identify a clash? Is that fixable?
It is, yeah. Clash doesn't mean end all be all. It just means you're both very triggered by each other in this particular area. So that was the first, with you and your fiance, that was the first thing I looked for. No clashes. I'm like, okay, good. There's no clashes.
That's funny.
Right? But I do, like I said, like for instance, even with my daughter, I have a clash.
Really?
Yeah, in one of our aspects. And so this is where we trigger each other. But the more conscious you are around that trigger, the less of a trigger it is.
So where was the trigger with her? Was it physical?
It's in our physical goals. So we both have a 6/6. We're both very creative. And that frequency is associated with a Taurus also. So we're both also kind of like, she wants her way and I want my way. But I'm not like that with people, with most people, but she triggers this particular aspect of me in that frequency, and all that means is she's forcing me to work through it in a much deeper way.
Right.
So clashes aren't bad either. You just have to be conscious enough to understand what they are and how to work through them.
Yeah. Wow. I definitely want to run a chart on my mother and even my father. I think it's important with your parents and your siblings.
With everybody.
Yeah.
So I ran every single one of my exes, significant exes, I ran a chart on them next to mine, and every single one of them has a karmic connection into my heart.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. So that was a trip.
Damn, that is a trip. Imagine, how many were there?
Not that many.
Oh, okay.
3 or 4 maybe.
That's still pretty good amount. Interesting. Gellyahnah,
like I said, I had a lot of heartache. Sorry.
Yeah,
a lot
right.
of heartache.
It's been fun. Anything you want to promote? Any links or anything before we close off?
Thank you so much for letting me be here. I mean, people can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, and my handle is soul_contracts_practitioner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
we'll link it below.
Yeah, pretty easy.
People want a reading, shoot her a message. Very valuable stuff. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.